So my therapist, she attacked me. I needed to hear it, so I know some of y'all definitely need to hear it. I was telling her, like, yeah, I know I do have some trust issues to work through. And she stopped me and she said, Haley, you don't have trust issues. And I was like, Noelle, I really do. And she said, no, your body and your mind have been trained by your environment and people's repeating habits around you that it triggers your fight or flight, and how you fight is putting up walls. It's not trust issues. It's a trauma response. You have PTSD. Stop lessening your symptoms.
Let's talk about how to heal the mother wound. So healing the mother wound is all about seeing yourself fully and completely. Because you have the mother wound because you were either abused or neglected or abandoned, or there were some trust issues. So your needs weren't met. You weren't fully seen. So now what you have to do is to reparent yourself, remother yourself. And for those of you who have asked me, no, your mother does not have to be physically present or on this physical plane in order for you to do this work. The strategies are similar, like I talked about in the father wound video. You have to learn to feel your emotions. In this case, you have to learn how to set firmer boundaries because your boundaries are poor. You have to learn about your needs and validate yourself because you've been seeking validation from other people. You have to change your self-talk. You have to express yourself because you like to hide. And you have to learn how to be by yourself. And in my coaching, we dive deeper.
Do you also feel this way? Let's look at why. Shift paradigms with me. This is a lack of safety around control. This means that somewhere in your childhood, in some way, you felt like you had no control. Maybe some things happened to you that you didn't want to happen, but you felt like you had no control to stop them. Again, this doesn't have to be physical abuse or sexual abuse. It can just be that you were forced to do things that you didn't want to do. Maybe you were threatened if you didn't do it. But this is about control. Your trauma response is to control things. When things don't go the way that you plan or were trying to control, you freak out because suddenly you feel extremely unsafe. Because controlling things in detail is the only way that you found to feel safe when in your childhood you felt like you had no control over what happened to you. To start to let go of that, start to find ways to self-regulate your body when you feel unsafe in those situations. This can be breathing or tapping or checking in with reality and talking to you.
Let's talk about fixing or healing the father wound. So healing the father wound, which may surprise you, it's all about healing your relationship with yourself. So there are a lot of different things that you can do, but here are some examples. Consistently working on forgiving yourself and him. And by the way, this is applicable to the women who have lost their fathers too. 2, working with your body and your emotions and your nervous system. When you were traumatized as a child, that hijacked your nervous system, so now you are reacting rather than responding. When we're traumatized, we store emotions in our body. There were emotions that were not safe to be felt, so know that all of those are still stored in your body. When we work with the body and we work with the nervous system, it gets us out of our head because it's being in our head that is causing a lot of problems. So I've done an entire masterclass on the father wound, and I also have a program called Healing Academy where I teach it in depth.
I just realized.
What did you realize?
I have a blockage of
Say it.
having the people that in my past left me in like my saddest times.
Say this, Flo. I allow myself the feeling of abandonment in my body.
I allow myself the feeling of abandonment in my
Say I love the feeling of abandonment in my body. Say it.
I love the feeling of abandonment in my body.
There it comes. Say I love the feeling of abandonment in my body.
I love the feeling of abandonment in my body.
You're doing great, love. You're doing great work. I love the feeling of abandonment in my body.
I love the feeling of abandonment in my body.
Hi, you are watching On the Town, and I hope you checked out all those TikToks tonight. It's Living Room Chat, and we are here chatting it up with our author friends of Unbreakable, me, Elizabeth Graybill. Hey,
Thank
welcome
you
back again.
Again.
Thank you always for coming. We always appreciate you. So conquering struggles after trauma is tonight's topic. Liz, we found lots of comparisons, right, of all
Yes.
people from all traumas, whether it's abandonment, abuse, addiction.
Yeah.
It's all the same work to get to the healing part. So
Yep.
we figured it's all going to be one thing. We find one thing in common. Once we do the work, right, there can be times when doubt kicks in, fear, anxiety. And so unless you know how to like silence that voice and make your warrior voice scream louder with
Mhm.
actions and diversions from that other voice, you could be back to square one. So
Absolutely.
you know me, I thought that you and I could do things, talk about things that we do to help give ourselves, let's say, a self tune up after therapy and after the healing work is done. So thank you for coming again, and we appreciate you. Um, you have a copy of your book right there by chance?
I
I left
do.
mine in the car, and I want to pull it up.
I have one
First thing is plug.
right
You must
here.
copy, guys. There it is. Unbreakable Me.
There it goes.
Graybill, Amazon. It's out there. Get it. I got it, and boy, woo! I was able to read it in days because it was that good. Okay, so I'm all about healing and people trying to heal themselves, whatever that looks like. So I appreciate you taking the time for coming on because I know that that's what you're about. That's why you wrote the book.
Mhm.
So first things. So what are some of the things that we tend to do? Once we've been in recovery, we've gotten things down, but then there's things that pop up. What are some of those things that pop up in our heads sometimes?
Well, I know for me, I think the trust
Mm-hmm.
issues are one of my biggest things. I think self-sabotaging is still
Yes.
something that I
Yes.
do,
Mm-hmm.
not as much anymore, but I have, I have done it. I mean, I have kind of slid backwards, and when I think that things are going so well for me, this fear sets in. It's this fear of failure,
Mm-hmm.
because of, again, all the past stuff that I had to go through, growing up. But one of the biggest things for me is relationships with others,
Right.
and although I work, I'm working on that. I'm working on myself. It takes a lot for me uh, to really, really trust people, right? So I still have that thing where, in all relationships, whether it be personal relationships
Mm-hmm.
or friendships, like I still sometimes look at people with an eye of suspicion,
Of course. Of
you know?
course. Everyone's suspect, right? Like you said.
Right. And
Yeah.
yes, and I do, and I find myself doing that more than I would like to, right?
Right.
Especially when somebody's giving me a compliment or somebody's trying to get to know me, it's always in the back of my head, like, what do they really want? Or,
Right.
it's always something negative, right?
Right.
It's
Well,
positive. It's like, what do
well,
they want?
that's those
I
little
know it's something. Yeah. So,
what do they call them? Internal wars.
yeah.
Your head be doing gymnastics, right?
Yeah.
But don't worry. Here's the thing: as a former foster youth, ours do it too.
Yeah.
It's like this thing where like I'm a very confident person, extremely. But there are
Mhm.
times, even when I sit and say, I wonder if, I wonder why, and
Mhm.
so everybody does it. It's just, how do you stop that? And then there's also things that trigger you, so that if you don't know how to silence those self-doubts and those little internal things that happen in your brain, you could be off to the races. And then boy, you got you got problems.
I think the biggest thing for me right now, what I'm struggling with is relationships.
Oh,
Boyfriend, girlfriend kind of
yes.
relationships, right?
Yes.
So, I get a lot of, why you single? And, even my
Yeah.
kids, like, you're all,
You're so fine. Why are you by yourself?
and a lot of people, and I get a lot of that. Oh, I know you have a boyfriend, and I know. And the truth is that I think a part of me fears that type of relationship. And I think because I've been so let down in them, you know, and I've been through some traumatic stuff, even if, you know, I went through domestic violence, you know, and beside the fact of me being sexually assaulted and all that other stuff, you know, I just feel like sometimes I feel even now like I may not be capable of being in a healthy relationship, if that makes any sense. Like sometimes I feel like my picker is off, right? And
Your
every time
picker, I
I
like.
pick someone, it's always I find myself attracted to things that are not healthy for me. So I have a fear now that, you know, every time a male shows me interest or is you know, I'm like, oh no, you know, like, you know, what? So it's like, I feel like I have this, I'm trying to find the word. I feel
It's a
like I
distrust
draw,
of your own taste.
sometimes I'm afraid, right? Because you know, and I'm not going to lie. Yes, I'm very specific about what I like, right? But it seems that those people or those types of men that I am, you know, I'm interested in are always the ones that are maybe not what I think they are,
You know
right?
what they're called? You know what I call that?
Please, by all
It's
means, share.
another form of self-sabotaging. And so what happens is you put these things on yourself, you put these labels on yourself, and your mind starts wandering, and you start believing them like, well, not just you, but anybody. You start thinking like, well, maybe that's the best I can do, even though you know you could do better. But some parts of you may not because of the sometimes the trauma is so deep, it takes years to get that 100% confidence back. I mean, I walk around like I got mad confidence. But there's times where I'm like, but I mean, I'm past the phase of like where I'll go down the slope all the way. That's not going to happen. But there are times where I still say, not sure about that. And so it becomes like, I can't explain it. It's another form of feeling that we're not worthy. And we don't say that. Instead, it comes out if I pick a guy that is not good for me because he's not paying attention to me because I'm used to not being paid attention to, or I get the wrong attention. Guess what? I'm just circling right back around because I really didn't heal. I healed the trauma, but I'm not to the place where, like, sometimes you heal it. Like you did the work and the therapy, you
Right.
did everything. You was honest with your counselor, you got everything out, but then applying it, you haven't had a chance to apply it. So if you've only went on one date in 10 years, when are you going to apply these methodologies? When is that going to happen?
My experience has been, in recent, I would say within the last couple of years in the dating world it seems to me, and this is just my experience, right? And this is why I question my picker, right? Because when I am interested in somebody, whether it be, you get to know somebody on social media or whatever it is, that however you meet them, it always seems that the minute, I show any kind of interest or, it kind of goes south. It's like it becomes a sexual thing. And I'm not saying that that's what happens, and I'm not saying that that's what I do. What I'm saying is it becomes physical for them. And it's like, oh, I like to do, and like they're already getting personal when you don't even know me, right? It's like, you don't even know me. You just met me and you're telling me about your body parts, which I'm really not interested in. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So I think that I've experienced that so much. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, I would love to do that. That kind of stuff. And for me, that is such a turn off. And not only is it a turn off, but it puts me back to where, these people were doing these things to me. Right. And they just remind me of this. I don't know. I just can't find the words for it. It's just,
I totally get it.
it's just like, oh God, like really? Like, can't you just get to know me for who I am? Can't you just, so I've experienced a lot of that. And I guess there's some days that I sit back and I say, you know what, Liz, I think because I've been through so many things, I've worked on so many things that I kind of know now what I want in, in another person, you know, and and basically the only thing that I think that I'm really asking for in any kind of relationship is to treat me like I treat you, right? To you know, let's be equal in this. You know, I don't seem, it seems like I'm always attracting these people that are just really not good for me. Like, I don't know. They're just, you know, it's just not my thing anymore. And I don't know. I think that maybe back, if you talk about maybe 10, 15 years ago, I probably would have been like, okay with it. You know what I'm saying? But because of the growth in me, you know, I just feel differently about a whole lot of things. And I see things so differently today that when I'm approached in those type of ways, it just turns off that whole, like, I don't even want to date. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm at a point now where I don't even want to date.
I'm dating myself.
You know, and that's basically, you know, where I'm at. You know, people see me post pictures. Oh, you know, everybody's on my, you know, oh, you're beautiful. And that's all great, right? But the truth is that I don't even ask for that. You know, I do it because I love myself. You know, if I think I look nice, I put it up. But then you get all this attention, all this stuff. You know, I got people in my inbox, and I'm like, you know, why though? Like,
but
you know,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. The one thing Steve Harvey said that one of my brothers taught me, God rest his soul, about men. And this is just as far as relationships. And people think I'm like, oh, you're bougie, or you're, what do they tell me? Oh, you're a hard butt, you're this or that. And I'm like, don't call me nothing. I'm not settling. And most women, I guarantee you, if you go put a fine tooth comb, they settle. And so that's fine. I mean, yes, I look like the old maiden, but guess what? This old maiden takes good care of it. I take myself on some damn good dates, okay? And I'm perfectly okay with sitting in my stuff. And that's what most people are afraid to do. I've had girlfriends say, well, I don't want to be alone. I was like, why not? That's the best thing ever. Like,
you know what? You're right.
Has been a blessing because
you're right.
Have to sit in their own stuff.
You're right. And you know, and I
need it to get out of their stuff that, oh wow, well, I really was in my stuff.
Well, that's the work that I've realized that I put in, because, you know, and that was me. You know, I could not sit still because I was uncomfortable in my own skin. And I think that I found a place now. I'm in a place in my life now where I am okay with being with me. Like, I'm okay with doing things by myself. I enjoy my company today. Right. Exactly. So it's like, you know, I'm not looking the way I used to look. Right. I'm just not there. And then, you know, sometimes I question myself. I'm like, you know, are you okay? Like, I mean,
too much fun by myself.
You know, but yeah. And it's like, well, damn, does anything interest you? Like, are you, you know, I mean, because it's like, I don't need that validation anymore. Right. No, I don't need that validation from anyone. I validate myself today. So even, you know, I guess relationships and friendship, even in friendships, right? Even in just plain old friendships, you know, if I don't hear from you,
right.
And I'll be honest with you, and I am like this, you know, I'll be not quick to pick up the phone to try to find out where you've been, you know, and I'm not mad at anyone for not doing it. Right, it's just like, it's almost like I'm okay with that too. Like, I'm okay if you like never call me or talk to me again. Like, that's the space I'm in, like, you know, and so, and it's nothing, and I'm not offended.
Right.
I'm not offended. I'm okay with that, you know, and so I don't know.
Some people would say that that's the over the 50s happy, they call that. After you get a certain age, after 50 something, you're like, whatever, okay. And
because like, even my kids, they tell me, Mom, like, you need to find yourself a boyfriend or maybe somebody. Like, you know, we're all adults now. You can go out. We're not going to bother you. And like,
my kids say,
like, but you know, you act like you're miserable. And actually, I am not miserable. I'm okay with being by myself. And I guess, you know, sometimes people suggest, you know, maybe you need to find a boyfriend. Maybe you need to find, and I, you know, and I'm looking at them like, no, maybe you do.
Yeah, and that's another thing. As we're talking about solutions, so solutions are our next thing. What some of the things that we've done to solve those little voices in our heads. But
Right.
I don't know why people don't say, like, one of my girlfriends was saying she was feeling down, and I was like, why don't you go to Tahiti? And so she was like, Tahiti? And I was like, yeah.
Mhm.
And she was like, well, why would I do that? I said, you said you're feeling down. You want to go somewhere that's going to pick you up. Go somewhere that's beautiful, have beautiful waters, beautiful food, beautiful people. Like that would be the thing, you know? And so she was like, oh, I didn't think of that. And one of my friends went somewhere like Morocco, somebody else. They've been to different places, but that's the best pick me up is picking up your butt and going to a different location.
Yes. And, you know, loving on yourself. And I think that's the thing. It's like, you know, I think I'm more into that now. Like I really like myself today, you know, to the point where I'm willing to go the extra mile for myself, you know, and if it's something for me that makes me feel happy or more confident about who I am, like I'm really on that page now where I'm going to do some things. If it's going to make me feel better, you know, about me, then yes, I'm all for me right now. And I'm not saying I'm not for anybody else, but I'm learning how to love myself a little bit more than I used to, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning how to look at myself today and say, you know what, I don't, you know, when I see something that I may not like about myself, you know, I'm willing to go and I want to fix it. I want to do things that make me happy. This is not for anybody else. You know, I mean, and it's so crazy because even when I, you know, I post pictures or I get dressed and I do my that's for me, really. I do it for myself because it makes me feel good. And also it's a reminder for me, well, you know what? You still got it at least, right? At least, even though it ain't going no damn where, right? but it makes me feel good, you know, and it also makes me feel good, you know, like when I'm with my children, you know, I mean, I got a daughter who's 40 years old, you know what I'm saying? So when I'm with my kids and, you know, people approach us, they're like, oh, that must be your sister, you know, like stuff like that. And it's funny because I always, of course, I tell people who I am, but, you know, it just makes me feel good that I don't look like what I've been through. And I think that that is one blessing for me, right? Because I've been, child, please, you know, and I think about that, you know, but it's about self-love today. And it's about learning to trust me, right? Because this has nothing to do with other, you know, relationships. It has to do, everything has to do with me. If I don't trust me and I doubt me, then there's no room for me to even work on trusting you, you know? And so, you know, so, you know, there's a whole lot of stuff, but relationships, listen, are not easy. You know, any relationship, whether, like I said, as a personal or, you know, your children or your friend, listen, all relationships, you know, it takes work, and it takes effort and commitment, you know, and I don't care what type of relationship it is, right?
Yes, and you must feel like you must believe that you're worthy too.
Exactly, you know, and yeah, absolutely. But it's also what I've learned is a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, my thing is, and I guess I feel like today, listen, this is not a 60-40 thing on either side of the coin, whether it be your children, your friends. Listen, if this is what we are, then we both need to meet each other halfway. And like, again, I don't care what kind of relationship it is that you're trying to form or build, right? It should always be equal, right?
Yes.
And so, you know, I guess, you know, and I'm the type of person, I try to give everything. You know what I'm saying? Like if I say that I'm with you, then I am with you, right? There's no cutting corner. I'm with you. But when I see a slack that, you know, and somebody doing the same for me, yes, I do have a problem with that. And maybe that's something I need to work on. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But that does bother me and it does affect me. Right. So I'm recognizing things about myself that I didn't know before. Right. I'm starting to understand not only about other people, but I'm starting to understand what I'm still struggling with. You know, that I still struggle with things.
Well,
like
that's good that you can admit it, though. A lot of people can't. I mean,
yes,
they
yes,
recognize it.
I
Recognizing
do
it's very important.
recognize it, and I can be very vindictive. Like, you know, if you don't call me or speak to me, I won't speak to you. You know, and that's not the right way to be.
No.
But I still have that in me, right?
Stinking thinking, we call it.
Thinking, exactly. And I'm here to tell you that that still exists in me. You understand?
I
If you
think all
turn
people know.
I'm admitting that I do. I don't know about everybody else, right? But
I've had those moments. I mean, everybody.
but yeah, and I do. And I'm trying to get better at that. I'm trying to really learn how to not let what others do affect me,
Right.
right? Not let it, determine who I'm going to become or be in that moment. Because,
Yes.
it only takes one person, right, to change
Right.
your whole day around or to change your whole demeanor around. And, so yeah. And I'm trying to see,
So,
I don't,
well,
I was looking at that too. So
yeah, I saw that. I saw you, Adam. What do you say? Sorry to interrupt. I guess we'll answer that question. Hi, does childhood abuse make them abusers? Well, we're talking about conquering struggles after trauma. So, and we'll answer that question. Does childhood abuse make them abusers? So I'll let you answer too, Liz. But my answer to that is it depends. And that depends on a lot. And now this is strange. There are women abusers as well, but men internalize more for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's testosterone thing, estrogen thing. I'm not sure. But men internalize a lot more. So that's why you usually find a higher percentage, usually not all the time, of men internalizing and whatever. But very big but. If sometimes there's ways to process besides just therapy. So if they process what happened to them, let's say I'm making this up, but let's say if the parents, nipped it in the bud and took care of it and made sure they talked to the kid about it and blah, 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 there's a good chance that trauma can be worked through in its own way. Right. But if they absolutely were severely traumatized as children, under 5, even especially, or with age where your kids can't process what's happening, this trust thing with this adult that I trusted, and now they're like a monster. Those often, it appears, seem to, if they don't get any help and they're not processing and they have never told anybody, that usually is a problem. Not saying that they all, just some, and I'll give you some. Jeffrey Dahmer's, Wayne Gacy, give me some, and hell, people like Dylan Roof and people like freaking Kyle Rittenhouse, in my opinion, people like that too have some serious childhood trauma. This violence and this sexual deviant behavior. So that's a whole therapy 101 session. I'm not a licensed therapist,
but I
have counseled for years and I've done, addiction work for years. And that's just my personal evaluation. That's not a professional one, technically, however you want to say it. And I'm the victim of a child sexual abuse. And I've never once in my entire life, even before therapy, thought about hurting another child, because for some reason, and I'm not sure why, we're still trying to figure out this, I never had it in me to hurt other people. I've never been a vulture. And most people that end up doing that, that type of trauma on another kid, unless they're a kid doing that to a kid and they've been trained to do that, that's a different story. I'm talking about an adult abusing a child in any format. Okay. That's some serious stuff going on. And if you don't get that kind of help, that verbal help that you need, it, I think it is a learned behavior that will be perpetrated onto the next person that person gets to victimize. But it doesn't mean it always happens. I'm not saying every child, like, put it this way, every child that's been abused has not abused somebody else. That's not.
I was just going to say, it's either one or two things that I have noticed. It's either they become abusive or they become overprotectors, right? Yes. Because in my case, I was absolutely an overprotector. I was always, I didn't want to see someone suffer and go through, and I'm still that way today. Like, go through the things that I had been through. But it also worked on my psyche in another way, because see, how it affected me was I had a problem even when my children were born. Like I couldn't even touch my kids down there to clean them like a normal mother would do to clean their children when they poop, right?
Because it re-triggered their trauma.
Because it re-triggered it. And I was so adamant that I was not going to ever be that type of person, that I couldn't really connect that by doing something like, something that was normal like that was, it was a normal thing, but I equated it immediately to I don't want to violate no kid. I don't want to so even that,
right?
It took a different type of an effect on me, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was very, very afraid,
right?
Because I didn't want any other child to ever feel like I felt, right? But I had to have people, like, I had to work through that. I had to work through
that, and that's what I'm gonna say to
that's
Adam.
Like the different, that people used to tell me, no, Liz, that's not the same. That you're a mom. You can, you're not doing that. You're not that person.
Right. But it triggers that response of that trauma. So
absolutely.
It's not that you don't trust yourself not to hurt your kid. You're not going to do that.
Right. But it wasn't
brings up your trauma, and you're like, oh my God, like that. Oh my God, that did happen to me. So I understand that.
And it wasn't about me thinking that I was that type of person. I just didn't want any child to feel violated. But I was talking about a baby. I mean, this was, and it really was crazy when I thought about it a lot. I was like, this is so crazy. Like, why am I feeling like?
Really? I've had a few people tell me that people that were suffered trauma, especially as young baby kids, whatever age you were when the trauma happens, when your kid gets that age is when their trauma resurfaces. Yes. And you're like, oh my God. So unless you've had the work, it is mind-boggling, or it can be stifling. And so while it doesn't mean you're going to hurt your kid, because you know better and you don't want that to happen to you, it will bring up stuff for you. So, and you need to check yourself and make sure that you're okay, because that can for anybody. So Adam was saying abuse is a learned behavior. Absolutely. I believe that facts. And although, I mean, I don't know why, I think some people are, and I know this is not true, that babies are not born. Babies not born evil, they're learned evil, or they get evil spirits around them, and that's how it's carried through to their self. Okay, so that's what I mean by that. But Adam, in the sense of yes, most of the children that grow up to traumatize other people, it was learned behavior, and there are people, unfortunately, in this world who are being trained as children to traumatize other children. And it's part of the sex trafficking now. It's part of all that horrible trauma that's going on so much in not just the United States, in the world, that we're not even talking. We haven't even touched the surface of it. Like there's monsters out here like you would not believe. And those people, especially the more monster they are, the younger they were when they were traumatized, and the more severe trauma that they suffered. And there's still no excuse, because I'm like, okay, I was abused, and I know I refuse, and never thought once in my life to hurt another child. Not once. It never even crossed my mind. Now, why that is, I'm not sure. We're still having debates about this. Like, do some people are born just innately like not evil, and they can't do evil. Other people are like, you just give them a minute and they're like, oh, I'm going to do some evil. So I don't know, Adam, honestly. But we will have a therapist back to talk about that, because that's such a good topic. And I see that early childhood trauma has been shown to damage parts. Absolutely. You can't like that. I don't even need a psychologist to tell me that. Like, I mean, I've worked with thousands of kids, adults, different various mediums, and you can see, I know when someone's been abused or traumatized, but they don't even have to tell me at this point. They don't I can just kick it and talk to them. Give me a good half an hour of talking to them, maybe even less sometimes, depending on how severe it is. And I'll know right away the narcissism, the either the self-doubts, or there's a lot of little inklings of signs that I already know. But I usually like for people to share on their own rather than, and I have a third eye, which can be bad sometimes, because I can see things other people don't know I can see. So that kind of sucks for me, because I could be sitting there knowing the whole trauma you went through and tell you your whole story, but I got to wait till you tell me the story, because that's only
well,
fair, right?
The thing is with that, it's like pain recognizes pain. It's just
Yes.
like an addict recognizes an addict, right?
Yes.
You can recognize in a person because there's a certain I want to say and yeah, and you know when you talk about the personality disorder, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Oh, I was going to say that. He says, what?
You know, I just lost my chain of thought, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry.
I'm so busy trying to read that.
I know. Adam, we're up here trying to read what you're saying and forgot our thoughts.
It's like, okay. But yeah, it is. It's a
parts of the brains. What do we say?
Well, you know, you're talking about a child who is very impressionable. The brain is it's like a sponge.
And it's still developing.
Right, exactly. And it's soaking in every bit of information, you know, and of course, I mean, this is at the age like we're teaching our children, you know, don't touch that, it's hot. And don't do that, it's this. And don't do, you know what I'm saying? But see, I think what a lot of people forget too is while we're teaching them all these things, you know, they're also watching us when we're not teaching them, right? They're also watching us, you know, when we're in our daily activities. They're watching how we respond. They're watching how we react. They're watching every single thing that we do, right? Yeah. And I think that, and you know, for me, and this is just for me, when I hear parents say, well, I did the best. Listen, let me tell you something. You can't listen, if your kid grew up in your home, right, with you guys, you know, taking care of these children, right? This is you're their learning ground, right?
Exactly.
You can't blame anybody else for what your kids are becoming. Now,
thank you.
When they get to teenagers and stuff like that, you know, they're already their minds are already, you know, set in a way where they're gonna think and they're gonna do and they're gonna whatever they're gonna do, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And you know, you listen. We got to take responsibility too, because they're watching us.
Exactly. And Adam, that's a good point. About the underlying personality disorders too, because and I'm starting to I really would like to study more about multiple personality disorder and dissociative personality disorder, because those are sidebars from severe abuse. Those are side things that come with that.
Well, those are things that we create in order for us to
protect themselves.
Exactly. It is. Right. It is something. You're right. It's a protection. So we create different people, different situations and different settings in order for us to deal with what we're dealing with. We become these different entities, these different people, right?
Because Simple was the best. Even though people was like, oh my God, Simple.
It's a way to detach from what's going on in reality
and get through it.
Yeah,
people don't know that. Like, you know, so people used to make fun of people because, you got multiple personality, you're dissociative, whatever. But you can't make fun of that because it's actually, the body is so clever. It's actually the body's way of protecting our minds during massive trauma.
Right.
Like there are people who have, I mean, Lisa Steinberg is a good example. Unfortunately, she didn't make it through, God rest her soul, wherever that little angel is. But could you imagine the things that poor girl went through? And when you don't make up them characters, you got problems. You might end up literally physically just dead. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the multiple personalities, the associative personality disability, even the bipolar stuff that comes, all those labels that we, call. I'm glad we're having more compassion now, because those are just things that I believe that the universe created for us to, man named them, but things that happen to our body responding to trauma. And the response to trauma can be either A, death, B, the diagnosis that they give you, the different diagnosis, multiple personality, all that stuff, or you turn to drugs, or you end up, doing something, hurting someone or harm someone else. So there's many things that go with that, but it's a deep thing, Adam, very deep. Are you a psych major? I'm wondering, because some of the things you say sound like a psych major. Thank you for contributing to that. I appreciate that. But, but guys, it's almost time. I cannot believe, Liz, it's almost time to go. But how do we wrap this up? What does self-care look like self-care, because yes, all these things happen.
Mhm.
Yes, we get the therapy, we get the help, and then there's still those human days where like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna sit at home in bed under my covers and I'm never gonna go out again. And you're like, wait a minute, why are you doing that? Why are you
Mhm.
sitting home in your bed? Or we say, I'm gonna go out tonight and I'm gonna see Johnny, knowing Johnny is not good for you. That's just human, but we got to check ourselves. You got to
Yeah,
do self-checking, guys, and surround yourself around good people that love you, that rock with
absolutely.
you. Even when you're at your worst, they're like, yo, Liz, what's up? Where you at? What you
Yeah.
doing? You can't be doing that. Whatever it is, you got to surround
It
yourself.
makes a difference. It makes a difference.
And you got to feel, most importantly, listen to like Abraham Hicks, Tony Robinson, Les Brown. Listen to those motivational speakers, because if that don't motivate you, I don't know what will. That's what changed my life, listening to all those people. I mean,
Mhm.
before them was God, and honestly,
Right.
before any of them, before I knew about any of them, when I was sitting in the orphanage or wherever I was, or traveling around different places, it was always God. And even when I didn't know what that was, I knew that somebody was better than me and greater than me. Always kept me grounded and kept me never wanting to like just do things that
Mhm.
most people would have gave up. If they knew the stuff I've been through, they would have been like, I just can't do it. I can't.
Right.
So God has been my first and foremost, protector. And then I said, you know what? There's no excuse. I got YouTube. You get on YouTube, you can type in, Satvir Kaur, SATEERCAUR, and put a 10-minute meditation on, honey child. What? And she will bring you right back. If you're having anxiety attack, she will bring you right back. I'm telling you, I've tried it, my personal self. It works. You can type in Abraham Hicks. She's got, something positive to listen to today. Like, and the most important thing is feeling that you're worthy. Like, you have to send messages out that you really want. If you
Mhm.
want to be a billionaire, I'm going to be a billionaire. Not, well, I don't have no money. How am I going to be a billionaire? I ain't got no job. That's not how you do it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So even if you have a self-doubt, talk it back. Talk it back. Take it back. Say, can I get do-over? God, give me back my words? I didn't mean that. I'm fabulous. I'm stunning. I can do this.
Mhm.
I'm going to find the best mate who loves me and cares about me and thinks I'm the best mate or friend or whoever you're looking for. That's the thinking. You have to reverse it. You really do.
You do. And I think the biggest thing is loving ourselves,
Yes.
deeply loving ourselves. Because when
Yes.
we know the value of who we are, then we're gonna look for people that are gonna value us just as much as we value ourselves. Right.
Right.
So I love myself today. I do,
Right.
and I'm not gonna, like you said, settle for somebody who's not going to love me as much as I love me. Right.
Exactly.
And so it's
Exactly.
like, so you have to absolutely, but I think the biggest thing for me too is learning how to be my biggest cheerleader. Because
Yeah.
what I've noticed, like, yeah, we got all these things that can help us, but
Mhm.
there are times that we are by ourselves, right?
Yes. You
There
have
are
to learn.
listen, there are times, because at the end of the day, when everything is, all said and done, we are left with what we look at in the mirror. And if
Woo,
you
say it
can't,
again, girl. Say
and
it
if
again.
you,
You left
yes,
with what?
we are
Say
left
it.
with what we are looking at in the mirror, right?
That's right.
And
You.
so if you can't encourage that vision of that person, that what you are looking at, if you
Mhm.
can't uplift the
Yes.
person that you're looking at, right?
Mm.
I
Yes.
mean, because that's
How do you
important.
expect anybody else to?
And you know what? And it doesn't matter if anybody else does, because if
Mhm.
you don't do it, what everybody else does is really not going to make too much of a difference, and it's not going to be long lasting. You're going to
No.
always be seeking that out. You're going to always need to seek that out. And if you
Right.
can do it for yourself,
Mm.
oh my God, it's like
Well, some of the things that,
everything else is a bonus, right?
exactly. Well, some
Everything
of the
else is a
things,
bonus.
absolutely the bonus. But some of the things also that I worked on, while I was doing self-reflections, I
And
did
abuse
daily
me.
meditations, I did writing in journals, because that really helps you discover yourself and figure out like, oh, okay, I didn't know that about me. Those things, that self-care, what does it look like? Massage, a walk in the woods is the best thing. A boat row if you got living by water. The spa is my favorite. Get them toes done. I listen to Tony Robbins. I listen to Les Brown, Abraham Hicks. I listen to my inner voice, the most important part. And when it tells me I need a break, I take one.
I want to just respond to that.
Yes, go
Can
ahead.
abuse be excused
No.
if they have any underlying illnesses? At the end of the day, anybody who abuses a child has it is a sickness, right? It is a sickness. You know, it's not an underlying that is the whole thing right there. You know what I'm saying? People who are in their right state of mind, you know what I'm saying, who know better, would not be touching a child. Would
Exactly.
not be doing that. I mean, and I'm sorry. I mean, when you talk about underlining issue,
Right.
everybody who is engaged in that type of behavior, whether it be child trafficking, you know, child abuse, child sexual molest. Listen, something's wrong.
Yes.
Something's wrong with them.
But I don't
Not an
let
excuse.
anybody get an easy pass. Nobody gets a pass.
And you don't get a pass because
No
you
pass.
know what? Because there is help. You know what I'm saying? People need to listen. There is help out there for people. You know, and I'll tell you, even my abuser, I'll be honest with you, I think that some of that has to be addressed by individuals, because for me, I forgave my abusers, right? Because I educated myself to really understand what this sickness is. And it is a sickness.
Yes,
it is a sickness, right?
That's
And you know what? And it's just like, I had to look at it like this for myself. You know, I don't, you know, if somebody has cancer, right? You know, we don't kind of shun them off, right? And I'm not trying to make light of somebody abusing somebody, but you know, my thing is that you have to forgive, and the forgiveness part, I think, is more for you than it is for anyone else, right?
Well,
why people do the things that they do, no one is ever really going to know that. You understand? I don't think that there's ever a good answer for why somebody does that. I don't think, you know, when you talk about underlying illness and what kind of underlying illness does a person have to have in order to excuse molesting or abusing a child?
Yeah, because even if let's say if they were groomed into it from 2 years old, let's make that scenario, right? Even if they were groomed in it from 2 years old till now 30 years old, at some point, Google was created, YouTube was created. So unless you were locked in a house, here's the one time I would say, not excuse, but I would say, let me see if I can work with that. You were locked in a house, like some people have, like that guy, the cave kid was in the house forever. He was locked from birth all the way till 20. That's a person that I would say, okay, I don't know. I do not forgive him. No one ever gets a pass from me, ever. Yeah. I do not give passes for a child sexual abuse or child physical abuse for anyone. I don't care who it is or where they come from. Or don't tell me nothing about, they could have had 10 blocks dropped on their head. I don't care. Yes. There is nothing, your innate human body, your human mind should have compassion at one point. As soon as you look into a little child's eyes and say, oh my God, you should be snapped into correctness. That's just my opinion. Now, I could be wrong.
Unless you really don't know.
Yeah, you was raised in the woods. Yeah, you was raised in the woods.
I don't know.
There was a couple people who were raised in the woods under the tank, and they never went out. And I get now, if somebody like that came to light, I said, oh, no wonder they abused their siblings too, because their father trained them that way, groomed that way. That there was some family where they never left the house. They never left the house. The curtains were closed. I heard this was a horrible case. So that is the only exception that I'd say, all right, let's get the therapy out. I don't know if it'll work at this point, because at some point, I don't believe that therapy is helpful for that particular thing, for child sexual abuse. At some point, it's a wrap. It's a wrap for me. That's my one trauma that I have to work through. And not just because I was sexually abused as a child. So not just because of that. Even if I wasn't, that's the one thing I have a hard time with moving forward, because children that are traumatized from other people, adults, never recover. Even like I'm recovered, but I'm never recovered. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm recovered, but I'm not really recovered.
It is always there. It is always there.
Yes, relationships and other things.
And it affects every aspect of your life.
Right. Which to me means I'm not reaching my fullest 150% potential because of those few cents that may still be not holding me back, but holding me. How about that? Just holding me. So that's why I don't really forgive that. And there's no excuse, especially now, unless you was locked up in a basement all your life and never went out until the day the police came and got you. That's the only time I'd forgive and understand. But barring that, there is no excuse. There's YouTube, there's TV, there's people.
Hard. Yeah,
I mean,
it's hard
to
really. I don't know. That's just,
and I know that.
Here's the thing.
I'm not talking about people who were put in families, and I know this for a fact. People that have families where their parents actually made them sexually abuse each other. So that I'm not talking about either. I forgive those people because that's something. What are you going to say? Just kill me? Most people won't say kill me. I know I probably wouldn't. So I'm not going to expect them to. So I'm not talking about those cases where people are made to perform acts on other people because of other sick individuals. I'm not talking about those people either. I'm talking about you're a grown ass 30, 40-year-old man, 20-year-old man, and you're trying to be with a toddler. No, that's absolutely no. There was nothing.
Yeah, that is just I can't even. I don't even.
So Adam, I'm working on myself, Adam, but that's the one where I'm like,
I can't even wrap my head around that one.
I can't even. It doesn't. It's the
and
only
thing. Unfortunately, this is going on, right?
Yes. We'll get into that.
Every couple of minutes, there's a child being abused. When we sat, in the short time that we've sat here,
I know
there has to be how many kids abused already? So and it's just it
breaks my heart. But Adam, I'll say this: thank you for heightening this conversation, because it's one that's much needed. Liz and I was talking about this before. Maybe we need to do one on just that and have somebody else too on who deals with trauma, sexual trauma, because a lot of sex trafficking. Oh my God. Horrible people. You watch.
I mean, they are ripping. Listen, they are literally ripping people's children out of their hands.
My friend's granddaughter. They tried to snatch her in Harlem on the daylight. In the daylight, right, coming from school in front of everybody. They didn't even care. Luckily, they trained her to scratch the heck out of it and let her nails grow long, and that's what got her away from this guy. And they found the car, the truck or whatever you call it, traced back to Dutchess County. It's a sex trafficking ring up there.
It's a shame to think that now our children are being marketed, for wealth and for money.
And the worst part is I found out now, so there's no such thing as a missing child. First of all, unless you find a body, there's no such thing as a missing child. You need to check all the sex trafficking ring is what I tell police all the time. That's the number one spot, because now what they're doing is shipping them off somewhere else. Which is horrible. Horrible. So watch your kids, people. And we wasn't supposed to get into that, but we had to address it. We had to address it. It's okay. We thank you, Adam, for just mentioning it, because it all goes together. Trauma is trauma, no matter what. And we're, on the town's goal and hope, and Liz's hope. Our hope is that whatever you hear today will make you think and take a better, do a better assessment of yourself and figure out a better way. That's it. I'm not a licensed, whatever you want to call me, a therapist, psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I'm a human being trying to help human beings stay human beings and stay on the ground, planted mentally, physically, all that, spiritually. Right. And that's something that I don't think a lot of places are doing. A lot of people are not doing. Every time I turn on TV, is something depressing or something that I can't learn anything about. But I don't care about reality. Our reality is right now with COVID and all the things going on in the world, whatever that is, the sex trafficking, we got shootings and killings and women being battered and children being battered. Like, those are things that we need to be focusing on, and I'm committed to that. That's what my show is committed to. Yes, I have musicians on. Yes, I have artists on. So you have a book or something that's helpful to people, I love to hear from you. What I'm saying? I'd love to have you on the show, but my main focus is people healing people, period. So I thank you, you guys who are watching, who come back every week, no matter what I talk about. Your viewers, I appreciate you guys for coming through. But right now, I'm gonna plug a few people here, and then I'm going to go. Actually, let me go to this. Where did I put it? I'm gonna go to since we did all that hyped up stuff, I'm gonna bring us back down with a little comedy, okay, guys? So I have a comedy sketch that we did, and I wasn't able to give you the revised one. Is this the revised one? No. So I'll give you this one. I'm going to give you this one. And, we'll keep it simple. All right. So we'll be right back.
Hello, ma'am. May I help you?
Hi. Can I please have 4 cream cheese bagels with cream cheese and lox on it, please?
Ma'am, do you realize that that's going to be pretty expensive?
Why, yes, I do. And I'd like some capers, too, while you're at it.
That's going to be really expensive, ma'am.
What do I look like to you? Chopped liver?
We also have chopped liver that's like really, really expensive.
Do you barter? I'd gladly give you my, let's see what I got here. I'd gladly give up my Ferragamos tomorrow for 4 bagels, cream cheese, and lox and capers today.
I'm sorry, ma'am, we don't barter, but we do accept food stamps.
How about I stamp my initials on your forehead?
Welcome to the Lance Boyle Auction House. And I'm your auctioneer, Lance Boyle. Tonight, we have the Andrew Cuomo Accuser Auction. We're already at 8 accusers, so let's begin the auction. We got 8. We're looking for 9. Give me 9. Oh, 9. Okay, we got 9 in the back. There's 9. Okay, we got 9. There we got 9th accuser right there. There we go. 9th accuser. Take the floor, ma'am.
Well, about, I don't know, 1975, I was working with Andrew, and he started staring at me one day, and he kept looking, and then he winked at me. And I was like, did he just wink at me at work? And then he was like, I think you're old enough to be winked at. I was like, what does my age have to do with winking? I don't know. But I was just very, very disturbed by that. I'm just saying. I'm very disturbed by that.
Oh, 10, oh, got a lady in the back there. There's number 10. Take the floor, man.
Hi. Well, let's just say I met Cuomo at one of the dinner events in about 1985, I want to say. And that was odd. He would just stare into my eyes. Just stare. And then he said, "You have nice eyes." And it creeped me out. It just creeped me out. I'm just saying. It creeped me out. That's it. That's all I could do. I don't know. That's it. I don't know.
We got 11. Oh, we got 11 in the back. 11 in the back. 11 in the back. 11 in the back. 11 back. Okay, the floor is yours, man. We got 11.
Okay, so like, my name is Tamika. Okay, and I met Cuomo, okay, in 1992 or something like that. Okay, and I was working in the store, and he came in, and he was like, "Oh, baby got back," and so I got taken aback because I was like, "What? Are you talking? Where I come from, baby got back mean back, not the back. You think it's back, but the back I'm talking about is back there. You know what I'm saying?" So I was like, "Yeah, no, that cannot be so." Okay, Cuomo, get your shit together. It's just not. No. Okay, so I feel really offended that even happened because you cannot tell me that baby got back. Okay, that's not what we do. Anyway.
We got 11. We got 11. Well, there's 12. That's 12. Well, 12. Okay, 12. Yes, man, the floor is yours, Miss 12.
Hello, my name is Francesca. I met Mario Cuomo in Italy about 1998 or something like this. Come ça. You know, I'd say to him that I was looking for work in the United States, and he says to me, "I would love to give you a job in the front office." I can't believe he said this to me. A job in the front office? Ah, I don't understand this. Why he would think that I would work in the front office? I am not put for the front of the office. Uh, I was very offended by this. And then he says to me, well, if you want to come from Italy to New York, you have to do something different. And I just didn't understand what he meant by different. We don't do too many different things where I come from in Chichila. It just doesn't make sense to me. So I was very offended that he was telling me that I work in the front. In the front. Why would I want to work in the front? I've I've been in the back all my life. It doesn't make sense to me. That's all I have to say for now.
Oh my God.
Okay, we got 12. 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 We got.
I got 75, what do you give 80? 75, that's no 80. 75, that's no $80.
So we are back, guys. Oh wait, no, wait. We are back, guys. Let's see. How do I move that one? There we go. We're back, guys. That was just me being silly. Thank you very much for watching. We got to have a little fun, right? I do comedy. You guys know I do stand-up comedy. And so I want you to remember, I'm going to do all my tags here now. So if you guys need to hire a comedian, you got TonyViagra.com. Check him out. He is a funny guy. Okay. You want the gangster comedy? You got it. Okay. You can also hire any of the 5 black comics. Check us out. You can email me. I'll let you know how to rate them when it's time. Okay. And then I want you to go and buy these 3 books that I'm going to tell you about because they're fabulous and they're going to help you. Okay. One would be Unbreakable Me by the lovely Miss Elizabeth Graybill on Amazon. Woohoo! I got my copy. You better get yours. Okay. Another one is by our girl Gina Fiari.
Yes.
Go to myitaliantherapy.com. Okay, baby, get that book. When I tell you this book she is doing the darn thing. Okay, get that. Whatever you do, because I'm talking addiction, healing. The work that she had to do to get to where she's at and beat cancer. Okay, cancer. Okay, so if you're a cancer survivor, you are in recovery, you're going to get that book because that book will help. That book's going to help save or change life. Also, our boy in 5 Black Comics. I can't even say the word, right? Playing with Fire by comedian Kevin Lee. Get that book. It's a great book and it'll be very inspiring. You got any young kids out there want to be musicians, comedians, get the book, please. Thank you very much. Get the book. You know what I'm saying? And last but not least, my book. I keep forgetting to plug my own book, Surviving Foster Care and Making It Work for You. Okay, Amazon as well. All those. Look at her. Oh, let me find out. She got a copy of my book over there. Okay. Thank you. Yes. And I'm coming out with my second book soon. Okay, I'm not sure of the name yet, so that's where we have a little dilemma. But it will be out soon. And still not sure if it's Girl with a Picture's Worth 1,000 Words. Or if it's from Bed-Stuy to Bedford. I'm not sure. So when I decide, that's when it'll come out. But it'll be out soon. Also, guys, last but not least, please go to my YouTube page and subscribe. And plus, of course, press play. Come on, let's go. Let's get it in. And if you have a small business and you want me to mention your business name, hit me up. I'm gonna do that. That's what we can do over here. Okay, hit me up. Okay, I have over 8,000 followers total. If I put all my social media together, probably more than that. But that's just being nice about it. But I'm just saying, so I can get your word out for you. Okay, I'm just saying. All right. And anyway, don't forget about us. You guys will be back again on Thursday. This Thursday, I'm supposed to have a young lady here, but we'll see. And if not, after that, every Thursday it'll be Liz and I for the month of August. So let's see if this Thursday will come up, if this young lady is a no-show or not. But don't worry about it. Either way, Liz got my back, right, Liz?
We'll be here. We will be
Right,
here.
we will be here, guys. So thank you for hanging in for the whole hour. One day we will get the show to an hour all the time. At this point, It was because we were having such a good time we couldn't stop. But I hope you guys take care. Liz, hang out with me for a minute. All right, here we go.